What's going on, Tube U? I'm kind of far from this phone. I didn't like set up anything right, but I gotta kind of keep it close because I'm gonna answer questions. I need like yeah, I guess I jumped the gun a little bit too much here. I'm just excited to talk to everybody and really give everyone some information that they might need for their gardening, or if you are a gardener, I'm here to help. Maybe you got some problems with your soil, or you're just curious about how I use insects, how I do my farming, and how I do everything. This would be the live stream to maybe gain some comprehension on these subjects, and maybe understand the soil a bit better, understand how, we want to have mycorrhizae fungi to assist the root zone, which is called the rhizosphere. So yeah, if you're interested in these things, by all means, I'm going to continue sifting my insects while people come on, and if they ask any questions, I'm going to have a lot of fun answering them today. So if that's you, if you just joined the stream, I see there's no viewers, that's okay. We're getting there. People will come in and people will go. But we're really hoping that you guys join us today. And I can just kind of go off on a tangent here with kind of what I'm doing while viewers join and possibly have questions. So what is it that I do? I guess it's a great way to introduce myself here is I am into soil health and the biology that lives in the underworld. And I've come to terms that I understand bugs are one of the biggest driver of soil mechanics. Without bugs, the soil wouldn't perform. That's kind of what we're seeing in a lot of giant orchard senses, because I work out here in California and we see all kinds of crazy shit out here with people who are just spraying. I call them spray and pray. Like, you get a little salesman that comes around, hey, we could fix all your plants, you just use this. And sure, it might work for a few seasons and things look okay. But then weird things start happening. Start seeing salt rings, you start seeing the lack of stress tolerance on these plants. And then we're dealing with incredible heat now out here in California, especially here in Butte County, where we've lost around 75% of our canopy. So we don't really have much cooling. So the valley is getting a lot warmer. And from that warmth, it's causing a lot of stress on these plants. What's going on, Betty? Welcome to the channel. We're discussing soil and health. And if anyone has questions on their gardening, because this is my garden, this is my little oasis, my testing ground. It's where I do a lot of my work. We produce insects. I grow insects, not to sell for like reptiles or animals or any of that stuff. I grow it just for their poop. I sift their shit. That's what I do. That's what all this is. And we experiment with different feeds for the insects, because I want to make this completely vertically integrated, where I can grow my own food source every year and then stash that for a whole season and then use that feed, higher quality feed too, than buying stuff from, because usually mealwormer people, they use wheat bran. Wheat bran's like staple, right? But I use something else, and it's called Polonia. You'll see this is stuff I sifted out because it was too big to sift. And you'll see there's Polonia leaf in here, and they consume it. And it's really good for the bugs. A lot of aminos. It gives the insects a really good nutrient profile instead of just feeding them carbohydrates all the time, because that's what bran does. It gives them a lot of carbs. There's protein too, but it makes the mealworm really fatty. And you can get these guys, they can get fatty liver diseases. So you really want to make sure you're feeding your mealworms, or if you're feeding your chickens. So watch, I'm going to make a fist and they're like going to come up to me and they think I'm going to feed them. See, that's how I usually do it. Oh, no. See, they're like, where are you punking us, Ken? Ah, see, now they're mad at me. Yeah, it's early here. Obviously, I'm on the West Coast. If you can't tell why I'm in the United States and it's still sunny out here. And this is a great place to learn how to grow in some intense environments, because we have a lot of intensities now. There's so many variations of weather patterns that are occurring. like we just had a really cool spell. It was like 110 degrees last week, and all of a sudden it's 86, right? So what's happening to plants? Plants like, holy shit, what's happening, right? Like they don't know what's going on. So it's up to us as gardeners, farmers, stewards to make sure the land gets what it needs to defend against these stressors. And it's called abiotic stress tolerance. That's the word. And I'll be doing a study with, I'm not doing a study, I'm doing a presentation with the USDA in Santa Cruz, I think in February. They asked me to do a study on this chitin because I'm really pioneering insect shit, right? I'm really taking it to the next level where we can create these concentrated liquids for like pennies on the dollar. It's insane. And everything that I grow encompasses these liquids. So like right here, that's a 50-gallon ferment concentrate. And that's diluted 1 to 1,000, 1 to 1,500. So in essence, shit, what is that? 50 gallons would be like 500,000 gallons of treatment. So you can understand like how powerful this stuff is. And it's just activating your soil. You really don't need to add synthetics or add weird stuff because the soil will do a lot of it on its own. And if you have an insect population, hey, Jonathan, if you have an insect population, you can really drive the soil even further because then you can just add organic material such as compost and whatnot. And the bugs will consume that. It'll call in bacteria. The bacteria will eat the woods, and you'll have a healthy soil environment where all you have to do is add cover crops. That's like the next stage of where this all goes to, is where then we got to cover the ground, because in reality, we shouldn't need to incorporate fertilizers. We shouldn't have to do, well, I don't have to do this, but I choose to, because it shows people where we're deficient in our ecosystem. And it's obviously, to me, we're like lacking the bug populations we used to. And that's like well known. I mean, a lot of people know that the populations of insect has been dropping dramatically since they like really started paying attention. It's kind of scary. What's going on, Colton? Glad you're here. Glad people are sticking around. I have a StreamYard link in the description. If anyone's interested in asking a question or engaging with me, the opportunity is there for you to join in and ask me some questions. And I'm always open to that. So I'd love to go live and explain, because I'm not just trying to present. I want to have a conversation with everyone. So I ask that people who are intrigued or have questions to join and ask me some questions. Keep it on point. Hopefully you're not like a troll or you're gonna bring up some weird stuff. I had people come on my live streams and like have like naked photos go. And I thought that was hilarious, but I don't appreciate it. So don't do that here. I'm gonna get back on track. I gotta sift these insects. And yes, Steve says need our minerals back. That's right. And we understand like where do the minerals go? Like how come they're not there anymore? Like that's a question we should ask. Like, is Ken full of shit? Like why is he saying that we need bug nitrogen and why do we need more biology in the soil? Well, quite honestly, what's been happening in my neck of the woods over here in Northern California, we've experienced intense droughts, mismanagement of land. Do you use ground soil or bagged? I don't. I just use compost, and then I use biology. And if like my compost isn't ready, I'll let it sit. Like I'm always prepared with my soil. I know where my soil, I know when I'm gonna need it and where it has to be and how long in the future am I gonna need this. So I always have it set. So like I'll show you. Here's an example. I have compost going in these totes, and they've turned into soil. They're done. I could use this as a planting mix now. You'll see how that looks. This is just wood compost. Oh, it smells so good. And we just let it decompose. And then we add biochar to this to make it like a potting mix. And you can sterilize this. I mean, you just got to add wood vinegar. Wood vinegar is a great way to skip that whole putting bags out under the sun and getting them to be, nuked by the sun. It's a great way just to skip all that, is using wood vinegar. So if you can get your hands on wood vinegar, they're everywhere. I know Blue Sky Biochar, I'll link Michael Whitman out here. I'll say it out loud. Blue Sky Biochar. I'll even put it in the, I'll put it even in the comments for y'all. Blue Sky Biochar. There you go. That's where you get your wood vinegar from, if anybody's interested. They sell, I'm in Northern California. I'm out here in Chico. It's supposed to be like the party place for all the youngsters that go to school. A lot of them just come out here because they heard the party scene's pretty tight, but I don't see it. I guess I'm too old. No. But anyways, so yeah, this is our composty soil. You'll see there's a lot of mycelium here, but it's cooling off and it's looking good. And then we just had char, and then I'll show you an example. Is over here we just used that soil that you saw. I call it soil. It's pretty much soil. And we plant direct into that, and I added the biochar. You'll see here, here's the biochar. And I just mixed that at a pretty equal rate because I enrich the biochar. I never bury it raw. I don't believe in burying raw biochar. I get consulted through farms out here to instill these fertility programs, but I've been going a lot more harder on my nonprofit, which we create a lot of biochar for. And my business has stagnated because no one else is running it but me. So I'm focused more on public works right now than I am private, because then in the end, the two will meld together. What is, Ken said something, I don't even know what that means. SDIYBT. I'd love to know. If you want to get on the channel and have conversations about that, Ken, I'm open. My name's Ken too. We can have Ken squared. Anyways, so I'm walking around and I got to get back to sifting my insects. No one's really asking questions, so I'll just keep talking. I'm going to sift my bugs because I don't have a tripod, and this is how I do things. Let's see, turn it a little bit. Bam. Now you can see me. All right. So right now what I'm doing, I guess we'll change the subject because I think we got a good lesson on that about utilizing compost as soil, and then also making sure it's sterile, because I know some plants, when they germinate, they do not want anything near them, really. That's why it's kind of funny out here, because plants don't grow back that are supposed to be here unless there's fire. But it has to be a certain type of fire. And it's the same thing. Like, I look at fire and biological function in the soil the same way. They're both generating heat and friction, and they're like, sometimes it's a slow burning, like sometimes a compost pile, right, gets up to 140 degrees. That's hot as shit. I've seen compost go up to 160, 170. I haven't seen 180. So we got to think about, there's heat in the soil, there's heat everywhere, there's always friction, something is happening. That's why anaerobic environments are so mysterious to us, because quite honestly, a lot of people, like, I'm not trying to say I call people out, I'm just saying a lot of because I can say something like, I'll just reframe, because they're great and they do good stuff, but they don't teach a lot about the anaerobic environment. And those are the archaeans. Those are like the first life forms that were observed on this planet. And something happened with the aerobics, and they started mixing, and then bam, we got this atmosphere we have today. But it used to be methane they're finding. That's the science, right? They do the cores in Antarctica, like, holy shit, there's a lot of methane. That's because we had a lot of anaerobes. And as time progressed, aerobic bacteria took over the surface, and the anaerobes went underground. And what's underground? Plants, roots, things that we love to eat, right? People like to dig in the ground for gold and resources. However, my profession, I deal with growing roots in the ground, and they need an anaerobic environment. They need a solid anaerobic environment to grow and thrive within, because most of the roots bring oxygen to the ground, and they do an exchange. You get an exchange of aerobics and anaerobics. And when the rain comes in, or you get water, or something scratches the surface, or like an animal comes running around and like digs a small hole, like those are like the environment. That's when oxygen really does enter. And you need, and think about all the bugs too that are burrowing, and the worms and everything else that's aerating that soil. It's creating that natural environment, because if you get too anaerobic and you don't have the right anaerobes, you get an anoxic environment. And that's when you start getting root die off and root rot. And it gets really nasty too, because then you add like a root knot nematode inside an anoxic condition. That plant is done. It's roasted. Like, good luck saving that. I mean, you can save it with Korean natural farming has a really good methodology. It's called OHN, Oriental Herbal Nutrients, and they use alcohol to extract herbs, and they make like tinctures, and they're really powerful. And I've seen them cure some of the worst plants that are just on the brink of just death. You're like, no, let's save it. And it's funny too, because when you save these plants and they survive and they go through something so horrible, they come back so robust. And I'm like, oh, we should collect seeds from that thing now, right? Because then maybe it'll like encode that in it, that energy, that moment of it, and it'll pass on the. That's how I see things. Like, evolution does exist because you can see it in the plant world. Like, a lot of plants we consume today are all from like mustard and stuff. And like, you look into the seed banks and all this stuff, and it's like, wow, like we really only have like 5 kingdoms growing literally like hundreds or thousands of different types of varieties of veggies that we consume today. So to me, genetic diversity and seeds, keep your seeds. If you grow a plant, grow a crop, and it's great, and keep those seeds and grow them again next year, and then grow them again next year, and then go take those to your local seed bank and say, hey, I have these 10-year local infused seeds that have been growing, and they're great. And then that helps the seed bank. That helps progress, because eventually someone might take those seeds and create a bigger seed bank, and expand and say, hey, these are local seeds and they perform really well here. So when you're buying plants online, it's kind of like, oh shit, you should really go out and find people who are already growing and get seeds from them. That's that's something I think y'all should take away from this too, is banking seeds. It's so important. Do I bank seeds? If I was a farmer, if I was actually full-time farmer and I was doing that, I would. If that was my profession and my livelihood, and I was depending on a good crop every single year, I would not be buying Monsanto. I would not be buying Syngenta. I would not be buying any of these large-scale dudes who create these GMO seeds, because Earth makes GMO, right? Genetically modified. Like, you can take it, you can call it geographically modified seeds. You can just change the name. Geographic modified seeds. That's your GMO. That's where we should replace that definition. I'm into it. Anyways, well, I haven't had anybody join up. I guess no one really has questions about soil or fertility or how it can be done, which is okay, because I don't expect everyone to understand, especially in this like really crazy world we live in. But it's really easy, really simple. Healthy plants. For healthy plants, you need a healthy soil. To make healthy soil, you need a lot of biology. How do you brew biology? Well, it's simple. You go find it. It's out there. The land supplies of biology. There's all kinds of amazing things that are hidden in the ground that for us to observe and to cultivate and bring that with us. Think of it like we're the ultimate nomads. We can go and wander everywhere. We have minds, we have brains, we have thumbs. We can carry biology. We do all the time. So knowing that, you can bring good biology with you. You can go to like a really amazing environment, go collect that and take that to your garden. You see a really cool stick in the ground, it's just growing mycelium everywhere. It's like, wow, look at this. Go take that home and bury it too. Go give that stick the same environment that it had in the forest and bring that to your place, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. The forest is happy to give, but you don't want to clear cut it. So I'm just going to keep chatting, and if someone really is interested, just let me know. I'm burning sunlight. Burning sunlight. Just feel like, what are you doing, Ken? Well, I'm sifting bugs. This is this gets the pupas out. This gets the frass out. This is a Polonia box, custom made. It's made by a native man. And he's like, Ken, take that. He wants to charge me $100 for each bin. I'm like, I can't afford that. I'm like, darn. Like if I don't buy them, who's gonna buy them? Like I gotta help this guy out. I just didn't have the money to do it, and I think they're just still sitting there. But they're really nice sifters. Mm-hmm. Are you not entertained? Man, if I was like a soil nerd and I fell on this live, I'd be like, damn, dude, I can ask this guy anything right now. Like maybe if I charged, people would be like, oh, he's charging money. It must be worth something. No, I'm just joking around. But hey, if anybody's any garden questions, by all means, because I can keep rambling, but I have nothing to present. I don't have anything set up for you guys. Like I could totally do it. I can run through some of my education curriculums for you, but I'm more like freestyle. I like on the cusp. I like things to be more free. You know, I think the taking on the essence of conversation involves, what is it? They call that the alpha state. They call it like when you get in the zone and you're just like spewing out. Like rappers are really good at it. They're really good at getting into that zone. So that's why I prefer this style and this way of presenting, because it's good to be on our feet. It's good to know how to be adaptive, just like a plant, right? Like today, like last week was 110. This week it's 86. So the plant's like, oh wow, finally a break. So this is my break, is getting on here and freestyle planting. So I'm gonna put this phone down, and I'm gonna keep talking. I'm just gonna break up the subject, something I'm really passionate about. I just want to make sure I get good footy of me sifting so people don't leave. There we go. It still sucks. How's this? How's that? What's up, everyone? You can see me. That's great. All right. So, why is it important to have mycelium or mycorrhizae fungi to work in some symbiotic relationship with the soil? Because it's a neural network. Think of it like a circuit breaker. You got a bunch of wires and things running to the bus bar and running to the circuits and all that stuff. I'm not an electrician, but I know of one. And so if I'm murdering the way of the circuit panel, just let me know. But think about it, everything's connected. You got wires, you got things, you got circuit panels, bam. To me, the breakers are the plants, and the wires are the roots. But around the roots, there needs to be a sheen or a sheath, and that's called mycorrhizae. It's a defense. It's a neural network. I say neural network. It's not a brain, but it is like a brain. It grows like, it's mysterious. It just branches out with a hyphae, and that helps the roots. Like they call in, they can actually activate a lot of the phosphorus. They can make activated phosphorus. Like they can bring it in and send it to the plant, and then they can communicate along this pathway to other plants, kind of like telephone wires or like high-speed internet. And whenever a plant's in trouble or there's something going on, they'll say down the line, "Yo, guys, shit's going down here." I mean, they speak. Plants speak cellularly, intercellularly, or extracellularly. I can't even say the words right. And they do. They release hormones that let them know, like jasmonic acid and stuff, when things get wrong and they're getting attacked. But if you have this mycelium grid in there and your plants are all speaking to each other, they'll actually buff up their defense way before the pheromones could blow and notify them. And you're like, oh, that's pseudo. No, it's legitimate. With the forest floor, you know, undisturbed old growth forest, all those trees are talking to each other. It's a family. They're connected. And that's why they're able to grow stronger than anything, because they're looking out for each other. So reestablishing that grid underground is the first thing that we should be thinking about as farmers, or those who are farming crops or trying to have longevity or legacy on their land. And that's where like it would come to the point where like, oh, I don't have a problem with tilling. Like tilling is not a big deal if you can restore the network. And that's like what we can do. We can restore that mycelium network in the ground after, like, I would suggest if you're going to till that we come in and do bokashi, do like a fermented biochar, do something that has like the mycorrhizae fungi on there, and make sure that you're tilling with this stuff. Because as soon as you install those plants after you tilled, and that mycelium is in there, that those biochar or the bokashi is in there, it'll instantly start working on those root zones and reestablish it faster than you could if you didn't do these things. And then you would have better yields. You use less fertilizer. You actually start chelating the proper nutrients from the soil because the mycelium's enacting on it. And they're like, oh yeah, you need this. We got you, Bo. We got this. We'll help you out. So from there, then once your soil is awesome, then you can just switch to foliars and cover crops. And then you never really have to till again. You have better weed management. Also, when you increase fertility, you reduce weed stress because they aren't as opportunists anymore. Because that's what a weed is. Everyone calls weeds like they're bad. It's like, no, they're actually putting the work in. They're actually trying to open up your ground. And then look what you did. You just sprayed it with the fucking pesticide. Like, you just totally ignored the situation on the ground. Like, it's telling you what's going on. And then everyone's kind of like disconnected. So they go spray that weed. It's like, bro, just like let the weed grow and then pick off the seed before it turns into seed and then plant some grass there. Like, it's another thing. Like, and people look at dandelions like there's something bad, and it's like it's really good medicine. The roots are. I love dandelion tea. So it's just looking at the world in a different perspective when it comes to plants. And the soil is a sacred place that you want to really nurture and steward. You can't just, I mean, I see it. Look at the big ass farmers with thousands of acres. They're like, I can't do that shit. I gotta keep running this. And it's like, yeah, that's probably right. You're probably true. Like, you ain't got time to shift over everything to something that's actually gonna benefit the world. Yeah, you're gonna sell this food to people who it's like low quality, selling to all these food companies that make some of the worst shit imaginable, and that's what people can afford because that's what industry set up. If the industry looked at it differently, I mean, we have food stamp programs, like we have feeding programs that can support farmers, that can support alternative growers, but now that's being cut. I've seen food stamps help farms literally just stay afloat, like mom and pop stores, because people come there and get double produce, and it helps support local farmers. And then, like, I don't know. I have a lot of issues with how things are being handled because to me, what I saw with the food stamp card, I didn't see it as like this cush ass system. It was literally USDA farm bill money vested into the power of the hungry. And then they could choose where they spent their government money, either on organic food or they buy the junk. So I felt like that was a great way for the economy to be like the good part of the economy, because if you're hungry and poor and you get more food from organic farmers, you get double your points. Well, there's a no-brainer there. You're going to go get that food. And that was an incentive. So a little bit of politics there. I know we're supposed to be talking about soil, but I think about everything. Think about farmers, think about how they're going to stay afloat. I know a lot of small, like 10-acre farmers who are just, they're freaking out because half of their income was these food stamps, and things are changing. I hope for the better. I always hope for the best, but I always expect the worst. And that's kind of like why I do these systems, because these are off-grid ready systems where you don't need energy to remediate land at all. You just need your energy. You need food. You need shelter. You need sustenance. You need the things of life that are able to make you work hard. So if those things aren't there and people aren't making good food anymore and they can't continue to afford to grow good food, we're not going to have any good food. So these off-grid systems, because they don't require much, makes them very powerful and they're easy to scale. It's really easy. I mean, I sometimes sift these bugs once or twice, actually like once a week now. I really scaled down, and it's really easy to do this, and I know how to make them more powerful by fermenting that. So you don't need much. I mean, like a 50-pound bag of frass would easily treat like 1,000 acres. No problem. So yeah, like, well, why aren't you a billionaire, Ken? If you can, well, you know why? Because I'm doing a lot more than just running my business. And it comes down to, like, I can't just sit here and be a private business owner and expect things to change, right? So that's like a call to action for all my viewers is, if you know something's good and it's going to help the world, like, really go for it. Really get it out there, because no one is going to do it. You got to be the change you see. And it's not easy when, it's just not that easy. And I think that's another reason why a lot of people can't commit to this. But I mean, shit, I'm poor as fuck, but I'm happy. So what's that worth? So, and I won't be forever. It's just this unknown of these soil mechanics and like understanding truly like how to make a solid ass garden anywhere with like the worst soil on the planet. I think that's worth something. It might not be worth something right now. It might not be seen as like the most important thing on earth right now, but it could be. It ought to be, you know. And that's where I ask my viewers, like, if you don't have a green thumb or just getting into farming or gardening, or you just like planting flowers or seeing flowers, or you like nature, or it makes you feel good, I said go with that and expand on that and see where that leads you. Because for me, it took me down this crazy path of biochar, bugs, and farming and blossoms and unraveling the secrets of bug shit. It's just one of the things you can do on earth. It's one of the things I chose to do. So if you're interested in soil and you want to come up with your own systems, I highly recommend it. Come with your own thing, make some books about it. I still have to write a lot of books about it. I haven't written nearly all the books I have to. So, and one more thing, this is a lactobacillus serum. It's wild because I added, let's see, I don't have much bug poop on me. Anyways, so I added molasses to this, and it started growing a lot of yeast on the top. But you'll see when I peel back the yeast layer, you can see it's like all sticky together. That's like another, that's a pellicle. It's a biofilm layer. You'll see it's like a dark liquid color. Really good stuff. However, I always recommend, if you're going to continue a lab culture, you don't want yeast, you should use brown sugar crystals. Crystals just don't have the biology on them, but the molasses does. So it's a give and take, because sometimes you might want the biology in the molasses when you use it. So, but I think that's all I really need to chat about. I didn't really have anybody join. That's fine. We'll get more viewers soon. Get more people to ask questions. And it's the branding, really. Like, the branding needs help on this channel, but we'll get there. So I hope everyone enjoyed this little tiny me talking. I answered a few questions, and I hope you all have a good day. Take care and be careful, and make the world green again, right? We can do Make America Green again. That'd be the mega that I would definitely sign up for. I'd be right there. Make America Green again. Good night.